This episode of the Recovery Couch is brought to you by JB Davis at Performance Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. For integrity, service, and unbeatable deals, ask for JB in Centerville and tell them the Recovery Couch sent you. Hey, what's going on, friends? Welcome back to the Recovery Couch. You're listening to Just Like You, a mini-series that pulls back the curtain on recovery and how I can explain that I have been through everything in addiction to anybody out there who feels like that they have too much guilt or shame or they have done too much to ever recover. This mini-series is for you. I'm your host, Brandon Couch, and my autobiography, Step 4, is currently in editing and will be released this fall. Check it out. It's going to walk you through my entire story in active addiction. For most of my life, I wore strength like armor. I had success in my early 20s. I was obtaining degrees. I was excelling in career work. I was dependable. I was a high achiever. And to the outsider looking in, I had it all together until I didn't. So with that being said, I wasn't the exact stereotype that people imagine when they thought of someone in active addiction. I had a career. I had college degrees. I had a reputation. But behind the polished image, I was unraveling. See, the truth is, being strong doesn't mean being silent. And carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations buried me. It buried me in shame. At first, I didn't ask for help because I didn't think I deserved it. I thought admitting I was struggling would make me feel weak. I believe in manifestation. And if I were ever to admit to somebody that I was having a hard time with something, I believed I was manifesting weakness in my life and I would be a burden to others. But here's what I've learned. Honesty and vulnerability is definitely not weakness. So I had to learn this the hard way. Instead of just going to somebody and say, hey, I'm struggling here. I had to break before I could rebuild. And once I did, I realized something. I realized there are so many of us out here, high functioning, high achieving, deeply broken people afraid to say, I'm not okay. I think oftentimes when we think of someone in active addiction, we think of a panhandler with a cardboard sign. And we dismiss the slew of people who were going to their medicine cabinet before work, showing up for their job, showing up for their family, going to their medicine cabinet before bed. High functioning, high achieving, deeply broken people afraid to say, I'm not okay. And that's okay to say you're not okay. It's okay to not be okay. And maybe that's you today. Maybe you're showing up to everything and still silently falling apart. Just know this, you don't have to carry it all alone. Your collapse does not disqualify you. As a matter of fact, it invites you into a healing process that can change your life forever. You are not the exception. You are not beyond help. You are just like me. I was working as a program manager in the United States Air Force for the federal government, walking to my medicine cabinet every morning to grab my morning dose, to put my afternoon dose in my pocket, and before bed, I would go home and take my evening dose. And I didn't feel like I could show up to work. I didn't feel like I could show up for my family. And I definitely didn't feel like I could show back up after my lunch hour without my doses of medication. I was a high-functioning drug addict, justified by the prescription in my medicine cabinet. I've also been the panhandler with the cardboard sign, and I know everything in between each of those addiction phases. I'm just like you. If this episode spoke to you, you are not alone. My story, like yours, is still being written. I still struggle. I still have days where it just feels like too much. I just make a choice one day at a time not to use substance. And I share more of that journey in my upcoming autobiography I talked about at the beginning, Step 4. It's coming out this fall, and I think it could really be beneficial for anybody who's in active addiction, who's in recovery, or any family member who is loving somebody in addiction. I'd like to thank you for joining me on the Recovery Couch, and until next time, be real, stay hopeful, and remember, healing happens in honesty. This episode of the Recovery Couch is brought to you by Greg Swartz at Remax Victory and Affiliates. Whether you're buying or selling your home, Greg brings heart, hustle, and honesty to every deal. Call Greg at 937-477-8975 today.